Thanks, Muhle. Let's now get into the details around the African continent. We focus on Ethiopians who will be voting this coming week in an election that's already been delayed twice and overshadowed by a famine and mounting reports of atrocities in the war-hit region of Tigray. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed took to office, vowing to introduce sweeping reforms that even earned him a Nobel Peace Prize before being mired in a gruesome internal conflict that shows no sign of ending. Now, as the country prepares to vote on Monday, Ahmed finds his global standing significantly diminished. To unpack this, we are joined now by Professor Mamumuchi, who is a Pan-African scholar at the Tshwane University of Technology. Professor, very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us on your weekend report. We really watched as the Prime Minister took office, and there was a lot of confidence, and the direction has now taken a dramatic turn. Several months now of conflict that seems to not be coming to an end, on the brink of elections which have been delayed. What do you think of the situation? What do you make of the dynamics of the situation, especially leading into elections?
Good morning, and thank you for always paying close attention to what's going on in the rest of Africa, and also particularly what's going on in Ethiopia. You are right. At the moment, the election is going to take place. So what we should all hope for is that this election will have to take place. And we also hope that despite all the complications, the outcome will not continue the conflicts that you just described. After the election, will there be a possibility to try to create, with the new leadership that have been elected, to bring everyone together? As Dr. Abiy, when he came, he tried all the forces that were fighting to come together, but they didn't come together. They start fighting again. So is there any chance now, after this election, that an opportunity might be open where all the forces that are now fighting can come back and see if they could create a reconciliation environment for Ethiopia? That's my wish. I mean, that's the hope that we all would like. But the interesting question is, the challenges are many. The biggest challenge is this: the constitution in Ethiopia is not is really very much it's a kind of neo-apartheid type constitution. So it's not easy to run an election still with that constitution. But maybe after the election, the opportunity might exist by the new leadership to see if they could also open it up and make sure that all of the participants to accept to change a genuine constitution. The constitution must be citizen-based constitution. What we have is now ethnic-based, and the problem we have also is that many of there are many political parties based on ethnicity, but at the moment there are also some parties that have come that are based on ethnicity. So exactly who is going to come to power is also not in the election is not easy. The other problem we have is in the different parts of the country, the election is not happening. For example, in the Tigray, there is not happening. In the place called Benishangul, it's not happening. And also in some areas, like in the Oromo area, there are some political parties that are not running, and that are some of the political parties that want to run, they have not been allowed to run as they should. So there has been some complications in the process of the election. So what you see is in almost every region there's some challenge. But the Prosperity Party, that is a party that is run by Dr. Abiy, they seem to be probably running in many parts of the country. Maybe they will be the ones that will be elected. If they are elected, which means that Dr. Abiy will have legitimacy, and then maybe he can pursue some of the objectives, like including changing the constitution, arranging all this conflict challenges, dealing with them and handling them, or just challenging all the challenges that the country has been facing. Maybe he can be trying to do it with hopefully getting also international support. At the moment, the international support is also a bit complicated because there seems to be focusing on different specific areas. What they should focus is not to interfere in Ethiopia, but to support all that are able to create human rights and social justice and social solidarity and civil rights of the people of Ethiopia. As citizens, they should be like that. As citizens of Africa, we should have been united as Africans, actually, but we are not done that yet. But by maybe now, we should be really following up, not on going low down into ethnicity, tribalism, and all this. We should be out of that. Africa should have been out from 1963 to now, 58 years. We're still continuing it. We should stop it. I think that's what we should do. We should be citizens and humans, and then unite Africa and really develop a strong Africa, which has all the resources, as you know, that we have not been using very well to really bring Africa as a great country and as a great, all the people not suffering at all.
Professor, if you'll allow me to interrupt you, you speak of the Constitution being very central in the problems that are engulfing Ethiopia. In April, we know that Dr. Abiy addressed protesters, and he told supporters there that while Ethiopia might seem in the middle of these big problems, the real problem there was a problem of perception. And he went as far as comparing the country's experience to that of a village disorientated by riding in a car for the first time. Does this speak to the focus that should be on the Constitution, and does it show any priority on the Constitution as something that is needed to bring about this change and end in conflict?
I think a very good question. The important thing is this. All the last nearly 30 years, what we had was an ethnic-based constitution. Let me just explain this to you. When two things happened, almost sincerely speaking, the 1884-85 Berlin Conference Scramble for Africa, of all places in Africa, it took place in the last time in Ethiopia. What happened? Eritrea was split from Ethiopia. The split did not happen by the people didn't vote, both the Eritrean people, it was imposed sincerely. And it happened in London, the division. They did it like that. Then what did they do? They also allowed one political party that was interested in dividing the country ethnically. The ethnic division is like this. Every region has its own constitution, its own parliament, its own regional government, its own army, its own flag. What you have is Ethiopia has been divided very, very badly. And that has been done in the constitution. So what if they want unity, if they want the unity of the people and the human rights of the people, they must make them all one citizen of Ethiopia. There must be a constitution that says like that. If something like that is not happening, if they don't create this, trust me, the conflict will continue. The election may not make a big difference. It will always have a problem. So to make the election to have a difference, they must also say, once the election is done, once a new government regime comes that's legitimate, with the legitimacy, they should reach out to the people, find a way to include the people to make sure that a new arrangement is done. and that all 30 years of the division is stopped, and the country moves on in a new direction. Unless that happens, it's going to continue, because you'll have armies. You have a federal army, you have a regional army. At the moment, all the killings are happening, we're told, by some of the regional armies, because the regional army is not listening to the federal army. You see, when you have divisions like that, it's very complicated. You cannot run the country properly. So to run the country properly, there must be a revision, a total shift, a mindset shift, completely, to make sure that from ethnic rights, we should go to human rights. We must make all the languages, everything we need to express, everything, every right we need to express about the variety of people, all the differences must be not valued, not be a reason to fight each other. That's what we should be doing. Differences must be appreciated, not be used to fight each other. Our similarity must be celebrated. As African citizens, we should be really valued. As Ethiopian citizens, that's what should happen. If this doesn't happen, if the constitutional change is not coming back, then we'll have a challenge. The election will not bring a major difference, to my mind, at least from me. From what I understand, the situation has been going on because of this major problem we have of a wrong constitution that has been dividing us rather than uniting us and expressing our human rights and our citizenship rights. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, and this conflict has ravaged the mountainous northern region for nearly 7 months now, really showing no signs of an end. And I suppose it's also where the humanitarian world leaders, are warning of a humanitarian catastrophe. The implications of this conflict, exactly how severe are they?
You know, like you, I'm far away, so I hear lots of very sad, reports about what's going on in Tigray. I must tell you, the key problem is that conflict should never have happened. They should have managed it. Because whenever you have a war, who suffers most? The people, the innocent people. The people have nothing to do with creating the war. So I think what is going on now is that the war has not completely ended. It looks it's going on. If it's going on, the ordinary people will suffer a lot. So that is a fact. So what we don't know now is how to end the war in the north. And when the war ends, of course, all the humanitarian crisis situation can be handled better. But at the moment, if the war is continuing and you want to do also you want to address the human rights crisis, all right, how would you do it? Mm-hmm. Because every time the war creates more crisis. And if people are trying to solve it, as soon as more war goes on, then more people will be suffering. So I think in the Tigray area, it's a very complicated area, a complicated situation. The reason is because of, I don't mean area, I mean the complicated situation. Mm-hmm. The reason is because the conflict hasn't stopped. The war hasn't completely stopped. So the humanitarian crisis will continue, I think, from what I can conclude from the situation of the current situation. But if the war is stopped, I'm pretty sure the humanitarian crisis can also take place. What I can suggest to you is that a lot of us, all of us, are saying also, is there any way we can contribute, whatever we can contribute for the humanitarian crisis in Tigray, also in Wolaga, in Benishangul, in the Afar or Somali area, in all the areas, there are many areas you would not believe where all the people are suffering because of the conflicts continue. So these conflicts have to manage, and that's also the problem. Election is happening when the conflict is continuing. So it's so complicated, you see. the whole area is very complicated. And I know I'm not there, so I cannot say all the facts to know exactly the details.
Absolutely.
And then the real research and real data is not there. There are also exaggerations by all sides. All the conflicting parties, all the politicians, they don't tell you the truth. They always exaggerate to legitimize their own actions.
Professor, we're going to have to leave it there for now, but thank you so much for weighing in there and giving us some insight. Professor Mama Muchi, who's a Pan-African scholar at the Tshwane University of Technology, speaking to the tensions and dynamics in Ethiopia ahead of elections tomorrow. Still to come.